Welcome once again to the program that catapults you off the approach road, slap into the middle of the information highway, where 100 lanes of digital data traveling in both directions will leave you clinging to the central crash barrier, gibbering with fear, unless you stay tuned to the only show that shows you how to get the best out of watching your telephone while you talk to the television set and cook poppadoms in your CD player with your head in the fish tank. Yes, the information highway will take us out of the long, dark age of ignorance and into the bright tomorrow of human self-fulfillment. The flatulence transformer will enable people to cross continents under their own steam. Ex-supermodels will go on to glittering new careers. And architecture will become an exact science. But first, we glean and cull the scintillating global infosphere of multi-satellite news interlinks to bring you the stories of what will happen tomorrow, tonight. Today's top stories: celibate angel of mercy and compassion meets Mother Teresa. British ice dancing hope says I'm ready for the judges. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame admits Cliff Richard. Famous tenor stunned by falling pizza. Vivienne Westwood says the waif look is over. And now the mission to explain moves on, probing the background behind the foreground beneath the surface of the depth. Blue whales have been forced through thinning numbers to find love partners beyond their own species. Another rare survivor of a dying breed says, "You've got to get it where you can." Princess Stephanie of Monaco's choice of male companions has frequently distressed her family. She has announced she will marry her bodyguard. Her previous boyfriend tells us, "She thought I was too sophisticated." Shock news for the Prince of Wales. 52% of the Welsh don't like him. We talk to the 48% who do. That's what the pictures looked like when they came in. Now here's how they looked when they began to move, and we moved with them, on down the fiber optic funnel into the maelstrom of the event stream. Britain's special relationship with the USA was in tatters this week after Prime Minister Major's disastrous visit to Pittsburgh. Favourable publicity hid the fact that Mr. Major made a catastrophic diplomatic blunder at the very start of the visit. After his reception dinner, he told reporters what he thought of the meal, a steak personally cooked for him by Hillary Clinton.
Wildly overdone, wildly overdone.
President Clinton later said farewell to Mr. Major with deep emotion. Financial scandal at the BBC this week. The corporation was accused of paying money to gangsters for appearing in the series The Underworld. Perhaps the most notorious gangster included in the series was the dreaded Ginny the Mole Batomley. Ginny the Mole confessed to a long catalogue of hospital break-ins, shakedowns and sell-offs. Ginny the Mole Batomley is now ready to reveal to us how much the BBC series paid her. Ginny, how much was it?
£565 million.
And how much will this programme have to pay you for revealing how much the other programme paid you?
We're talking about more money, much more money.
Ginny the Mole, a tough baby. Many of her victims would be in hospital, if there were any hospitals left. The worldwide problem of graffiti could be solved in Britain. A new kind of paint will repel idiotic messages scrawled by underprivileged adolescents. But the truly dedicated graffiti artist is unlikely to be deterred. He's a loner with a mission in life, to use up every atom of paint in that aerosol.
This one's nearly empty, but it still works quite well.
In the United States, Lorena Bobbitt, the woman who amputated her husband's penis, was back in the news. She was released from detention after a judge decided that men in general had nothing to fear from her. Mrs. Bobbitt is now on holiday in Mexico, where the Mexican men reacted to her arrival with their customary bravery. With news that even British Telecom will soon be pumping a multi-lane information highway through your telephone into your middle ear and debiting you with a bill you won't even know about until the bank sends a van to take you away, Who better to guide you through the digital maze than our frozen-faced, media-wise advisor for tonight, whispering Paul Merton. Well, Paul, you've been confronting this avalanche of printed information for us. What world trends are emerging?
World trends. Well, there's a story about the cuckoo that was very interesting. There was this cuckoo that was found sort of like badly injured in Britain, and a bird lover came across it and started nursing this cuckoo back to health. And somehow British Airways got hold of the idea and said, well, wouldn't it be a good idea if we flew the cuckoo to Africa, where it's much warmer, and, you know, it can recover better? It seems rather extravagant. I think you should just bunged it in an airing cupboard. But so it flew British Airways to Nairobi, club class, I think. And somebody in Nairobi took it upon themselves to look after this cuckoo and asked the general public, you know, I need lots of caterpillars for the cuckoo. It's a big cuckoo, I need lots of caterpillars. Send me all your caterpillars. So somebody sent a caterpillar that had some kind of insecticide on it, and the cuckoo ate it and died. But I reckon there's another story. I reckon somebody wanted that cuckoo dead. It may have been a KGB agent. It may have had an argument with another bird, you know, like a sparrow coming at it with a baseball bat or something. But it seems bizarre that it went, you know, whoever it was wanted that cuckoo dead, even if it meant following it all around the world. There's another story there we're not hearing, I think.
You're seeing deep into these
I
stories.
think so, yeah.
I was personally very interested in the technicalities of whales mating with other creatures.
Yes, it is. It's sad, really, that because there's so very few blue whales left, that the blue whale now is mating with other species of whale. And I wondered whether, you know, and this is probably bad news for female deep-sea divers. If the whale's desperate, it's anything, really. And you get pregnant with a blue whale, and, I mean, that's a nightmare. The bulge is going to be enormous. I mean, never mind trying to get a seat on a bus. Getting on the bus is going to be a problem. And if the whale gets a taste for it, you might be a woman in a disco, you know, a tap on the shoulder. There's a blue whale standing there in a suit, reeking of aftershave. Blue Stratos, maybe. You know, giving you a big smile with loads of plankton sticking between its teeth. And then, you know, you've got to have the baby, and you go to the hospital, you know, you have the baby. Is it a boy or a girl? Well, we don't know, really. It's got a spout.
Let's move on to the subject of philanthropy. I noticed the Princess of Wales has been rescuing stranded motorists.
Yes, it was a very good deed. There was a couple who were, I think, they were driving through Hammersmith, and they broke down, their car broke down, and they're stuck on the hard shoulder, and they didn't know what to do, and all this traffic going past them, rather sort of scary. And Princess Diana turned up, just driving past, and stopped and got her mobile phone out and dialed for help, and then drove off. And, you know, wonderful thing to do, but it made me sort of think, you know, people are always saying, well, the royal family needs a role, you know, you need a new role in society. Why didn't they become AA servicemen? The AA membership would soar if you knew that when you broke down, there was a good chance that you'd dial a number and Princess Margaret turns up with a toolbox. You know, standing on the side of the road. Oh, hello, Your Majesty. How long have you been broken down? About an hour and a half. Keep it up, you know, all this sort of thing. Well, I think it's the radiator, Princess Margaret. Doesn't seem to need water in it. Oh, well, I've got some bottles of liquid in the van, but none of them are water, unfortunately.
What about the Queen Mother? Would she be part of the team?
Oh, yes, I think you should make her head of the Rapid Response Unit. I can get to you in April 1998.
Books. Arts. A book has been published this week. I read it in one of the papers. And it says, it advances the proposition that taller men earn more than smaller men.
Yes. It's one of these ridiculous surveys. I'm sure it's here somewhere. I'm sure it must be American. These things usually are, aren't they? It says here that it's the book about you, apparently. It says, the book of you. And it says here that a man with a beard will scare children under 12 much more than a clean-shaven fella. You can tell it's the same, but it's fella spelled F-E-L-L-A. I mean, how do you work that out? How do you test that? Do you have sort of minibuses of clean-shaven men going around playgrounds, you know, trying to terrorise children, and the beardies go out the next day and say, oh, look, we got 63% there. One of us had sideburns, so I don't know if that counts at all. And there's another one here. This is what I found extraordinary, because this is, I don't know, any of the men would either confirm or deny this. It's certainly not true in my experience. If you are a man using a public urinal, you'll wait a minute longer before you go if someone walks in. You take the gents at Victoria Station, for example. There's men in and out of there the whole time. I mean, you'd have to live there. 24 hours a day, bursting to urinate. Mind you, there are a lot of men hanging around there, so maybe that's what's going on, I don't know. It's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. But it's one of those things that, again, sort of fills papers, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, I haven't seen a paper in the last few weeks that hasn't had at some time or another a sex survey. And one of them has come up with the information that women prefer chocolate to sex.
Yes.
Does this match up with your experience?
Yeah. Sadly. You can't beat a bit of Bournvita. You see, that's Bourneville or whatever. I don't know. It depends. Sort of like, it depends what the chocolate is, and it depends who the person is. You know, if somebody says to you, "Would you rather have a Cadbury's Dairy Flake or have sex with an Argentinian pig?" then unless you particularly were not very fond of Cadbury's Flake, you'd go for that. Or, you know, if somebody said there's a walnut whip or sex with Kenneth Clark. No, you'd go for the walnut whip, really, wouldn't you? But no, if you didn't like walnut whips, you'd sort of say, well, yeah, maybe Kenneth Clark, you know, if he's got a nice suit on. Weekend of aftershave, blue stratus, plankton between his teeth, you might go for it. You might go. It's just sort of nonsense, really, isn't it?
Why are we, and by we I don't mean you or me, I mean people generally in Britain, why so preoccupied with sex?
I think we can't get it. I think that's what it is. Oh, we're not talking about me and you. Oh, so you were talking about me. I don't know. It's sort of it's odd, isn't it? There's a guy this week. There was a very funny story. You don't know these things are true, but maybe it is. There's a man who every time he had a row with his girlfriend, he nicked a double-decker bus, and he drove it to her house and used to sort of beep the horn outside the house, you know, till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, well, you could use this to your advantage, really, because if you knew the pub he drank in, and say you wanted a lift home, you could say, your girlfriend's knocking off a bloke in Wilmot Terrace. I'll come with you, I don't mind ringing the bell. Or, you know, or if you fancy going down to the dogs, I've just seen her down the dog track with a bloke. All right, I'm off, all right, I'll hang on the back.
Paul, I know you've got a big, important show coming up at the Palladium, and you must be hard at work preparing for it. So for those outreaching insights into the print miasma, thank you very much, Paul Merton.
Thank you.
And now, commerce. And this program is proud to demonstrate how the information highway will allow the distribution throughout the world of new inventions that will benefit the human condition. One recent American discovery is the Pro Shiatsu personal massage device. It's hard to imagine how it works unless you see it in action, and now you can.
When stress takes its toll, wouldn't it be great to have your very own personal masseuse to soothe and relieve tension? When routine jobs become painful, wouldn't it be great to call on a shiatsu massage therapist to melt away sore, aching muscles? There's nothing that soothes, relaxes, and relieves aches and pains like the Pro Shiatsu massager. Now you can enjoy the luxury of a massage in the comfort and privacy of your own home. It's easy to use. Simply apply Pro Shiatsu wherever you need it. Anytime, anywhere. It never gets tired. Pro Shiatsu Deep Soothing Massage actually gets right to the pressure points, providing instant relief. Pamper aching feet with a soothing and relaxing massage. It works miracles on the lower back and improves circulation on calves and thighs. Imagine getting a relaxing massage at the office while you work. Don't delay. Order now.
Take it from me. The Pro Shiatsu device will transform your muscle tone while giving you hours of harmless pleasure. The information highway girdles the world, straddles continents, and sometimes even reaches the more accessible parts of Scotland. Currently touring his homeland is one of Scotland's favourite sons and one of the most enviably successful, endlessly inventive comic minds of his generation. He's standing by our tartan-draped Scottish satellite downlink now as I turn smoothly towards our interactive monitor and say, "Can you hear me, Billy Connolly?"
Yes, Clive, I can, loud and clear.
Billy, you've been playing some pretty out-of-the-way places on this tour. Have you been meeting any out-of-the-way characters?
Oh, yeah. Well, out-of-the-way places tend to produce sort of out-of-the-way characters. When we were up north there, I never met the man, I must say, but I was going fishing, and the guy said, "If you want to know anything about the fishing round here, just ask Big Dick McKnocker." And I thought it was a joke. I was lying on the floor, but there's a guy up here who rejoices in the title of Big Dick McKnocker. So I was thinking of changing my name to Big Willie Condomly. Give me a more sort of sexy position and things.
Billy, what's the weirdest place you've ever played in your career?
In my career, I must say the strangest place I've ever played for me was Das Island in the Gulf of Arabia. It's just off Abu Dhabi. And they process all the natural gas for Japan. And it's run by a Scottish guy called Andy Williams. There's hundreds of men there, no women at all. Hundreds of guys. And they have entertainers over there now and again. And it's brilliant. I must tell you, there's an old gay guy there. He was an engineer. And he used to grow plants and all that round the place. It's very civilised, the whole affair. And he was the gardener. And when it was coming time to retire, and he said, "Could I stay on and do the flowers and stuff?" And they said, "Of course." And they let him stay on there. And they gave him 12 Arab guys to help him plant the flowers. And they're known as the Queen's Park Rangers. You've got to get there.
Billy, I hear you've acquired a tattoo since we last spoke.
It's great, because I'm 51. And I thought, let's do something, you know. I thought, let's be brave again, the way I was when I grew my hair and had my ears pierced and all that. I thought, let's get the old tattoo, because you're a long time dead. Or as they say in Scotland, you're looking at the lid for a long, long time.
Well, could you go another stage? What about body piercing? I hear it's getting very fashionable again.
Well, that's the next thing for me. I think I'll get my nipples pierced. You know, I think I'd draw the line at the willy. Some guys have the willy done, you know, and the lips and the eyebrows. But I think maybe the nipples would be rather daring and risky. I used to have pierced ears, but one day I was outside Harrods and a traffic warden came along and he'd earrings, and I thought, oh, that's the end, it's all over. And I took them out. But I doubt if we're going to meet many traffic wardens with pierced tits, you know, so I think I'll go for the old. And maybe get little bells on them or something.
Billy, you're living in America now, and there have been a lot of high-profile trials recently. Did you follow the Bobbitt case?
They seem to have trouble with regular sex Americans, but when it comes to like cutting people's willies off, there doesn't seem to be a problem. You know, old Lorena Bobbitt, she's a national hero now. I think the sales of chainmail pajamas with combination locks have soared. I'll tell you, she did a dreadful thing, that Lorena Bobbitt, because her husband's name is John Wayne Bobbitt. So in doing that, she cut America's willy off. You know, there's a sort of national panic, men clutching themselves. It's a very dangerous place to be.
And what did you make of the Jeffrey Dahmer case?
Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, he was pretty weird. He was making love to people and killing them and eating them. I'm not sure what order he was doing it in. It took a month to decide whether or not he was sane. I mean, the guy eats people. I mean, dip me in vinegar and call me a fish supper. Do you mean they're sane cannibals?
Billy, were you in Los Angeles when the earthquake happened?
No, Clive, I was in England when the whole thing occurred. As a matter of fact, I'm never there. I'm never there when anything happens, and my wife's getting really suspicious. I was in Britain when the big riots happened, and when the huge fires and mudslides were there. I was in Australia, and she thinks I'm kind of clairvoyant. She thinks I see them coming and get off my bloody mark, you know. Like everybody's getting deeply suspicious. But actually, I'm getting kind of jealous, because I've never really been in a big earthquake. I've only been in a wee, tiny one. It was like an elevator just taken off, you know. And I was kind of drunk. And I was watching television, eating a cheeseburger. It was a long, long time ago. And there was a Japanese newsreader on television, and I was sitting watching her. And the earthquake was obviously in the same place where she was. And it went, "Vroom." And she said on television, "What was that?" And I said, "I don't know." That was as near as I ever got to an earthquake. And I feel so cheated and jealous.
Billy, the last time I saw you on the big screen was in Indecent Proposal, where you played an auctioneer. What was the Hollywood experience like?
Oh, it was brilliant. It was especially good because I was on tour at the time. I was in Nova Scotia. And Adrian Lyne, the director, phoned and said, would I come and do this? He said, it's only 2 days' work if you want to. And I said, sure. And the only way I could get there was by Learjet, which was absolutely... I'd never been in a Learjet before. And whoosh. And you know, I discovered, to my extreme disappointment, that there's no lavvy, there's no toilet on a Learjet. We had to pull in... This is Nova Scotia to Hollywood. We had to pull in at Milwaukee for a pee or Minneapolis or something. And since then, I've enjoyed it, just thinking of all these great magnates and billionaires with their legs crossed in the skies.
Billy, I've been talking to you by satellite all over the planet Earth for what seems like years, and neither of us is getting any younger. Are you wearing spectacles yet?
I do. I got them when I was 50. I got tired of that, complaining of the lighting in Indian restaurants. When are they going to do something that's bloody late? I have to wait. So I got glasses, and I kind of fancy myself in them. I look reasonably intelligent wearing my glasses. But the most disconcerting thing about aging, I find, is the rapid growth of nasal hair. I don't know why it should accelerate. What is it about getting old? You need more hair in your damn nose. And your ears, up comes whoosh. And my pubic hair has gone grey. Funnily enough, on one side, it's kind of strange. It's kind of silvery grey. And it's made my willy look really weird. It's like a nest of baby gerbils in newspaper. It looks very, very odd. I have to do it in the dark now. No more posing around in the quilt for me, I'm afraid. And I've got the winter plumage too, you see it? I look as if I'm wearing my granny's Davy Crockett hat. But there you go.
Billy, what kind of old man do you think you're going to be? Are you going to mellow out?
No, I'm going to be a nuisance. I fully intend to be a nuisance. I've been a nuisance all my life, and I would like to remain. I'd like to become a real old nuisance. I want to really irritate the church in particular. I want to irritate those hypocrites and charlatans. I want to, when they come away with that jargon, I want to go into cathedrals. And when they say, I am one in him and he in me and we are one, I'm going to say, rubbish! I'll be the old guy in the stalls shouting, rubbish, because I hate what they've done to Scotland. Those wee grey Presbyterian men. We're a nation of men who wear kilts and no bloody underwear. And they're saying, you shall not. Give me a break.
Billy, I've got a date in the tattoo parlor, so thank you for those insights into life, age, and death.
Missing you already, Clive.
And now, religion. Interactive psychic television is a hit in the United States. Not only is the screen full of psychics, you can call them up on the telephone yourself. The hostess of a special program for psychics is singer Dionne Warwick. She has a psychic sidekick called Linda Georgian. Here they meet each other, as they do regularly with undiminished astonishment, on Dionne's very own interactive psychic show, Psychic Friends Network.
Please welcome a wonderful friend and a fabulous psychic, Miss Linda Georgian. You do too.
Thank you.
All right, now you know, I happen to know about this psychic network and how it works, but there are a lot of people sitting here this afternoon, as well as those who are looking at us on TV, who don't have a clue. Why don't you kind of bring them up to date on what's happening?
Okay, Dionne. We've assembled an amazing group of psychics and made them available 24 hours a day through the Psychic Friends Network. Let's have a member of our audience give the Psychic Network a call.
All right, it sounds like fun.
It will be.
Okay, do we have a volunteer? The lady right there.
Okay,
All right.
she looks perfect.
Yeah.
She's got a very great aura. This should be a good reading.
Okay, we'll see. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Tingle.
What's your real name?
Adrian.
Adrian. Okay, that's what we're trying to get to.
Psychic.
I have nicknames too that we won't discuss anyway. Have you ever had a reading? Never?
Never.
Okay.
We have a psychic that works for the Psychic Friends Network, and she's going to be joining us right now in a minute here.
Psychic Friends Network, extension 7411. This is Lacey.
Hi, Lacey. This is Linda Georgian.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm here in Hollywood, and we have a volunteer from the audience who would like a psychic reading, and I thought you would be able to give her one.
That would be great. I'd be glad to.
Okay, here she is.
Hello?
Hi there, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. And you?
Just fine. Tell me your name and your birth date and I'll tune into your energy.
My name? Tingle.
Tingle. Okay, and what's your birth date, Tingle?
I had to give my birthday.
Not the year, just the date.
Yeah, just the month and the day.
Okay, March 5th.
Girl after my own heart.
That's right, that's right.
Well, you know what I see around you right now, I sense a lot of emotion, and I see a lot of pink around you, and usually that's the romance area or the love area. Did you have some questions about that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Don't we all?
If you've got a lot of pink around you, you'll be too busy to watch what happens next, which is a reconstruction of how the Psychic Friends Network can help people find themselves and each other.
Todd Weston is one of Linda Georgian's regular clients, and today he only wanted to know about his love life. As usual, Linda was there to help him through this moment of crisis. Linda saw that Todd would soon meet someone very special in the produce section of his local supermarket on Saturday afternoon. Linda saw the girl as having long brown hair and that somehow stars and moons would be involved. Todd hung up the phone excited. That Saturday, Todd went to the supermarket. But to his disappointment, he saw no women fitting Linda's description. But the following Saturday would be an entirely different story. One of Todd's friends was giving a pool party, and Todd was really enjoying himself. Linda's amazing prediction could not have been any further from his mind. It was his turn to make the drinks. There wasn't much orange juice left, and so Todd was elected to go to the market and buy some fresh oranges to juice. He wasn't happy about leaving the party, but someone needed to get the juice. Todd was anxious to get the oranges and return to the party, but Linda Georgian's prediction was about to come true. There, perusing the fresh squeezed orange juice, was Todd's dream girl. Todd moved in and tried to strike up a conversation. Not knowing what to say, he told Christy of Linda Georgian's prediction. After all, it was Saturday afternoon. They were in the produce section. But the real clincher was the stars and the moons. Christy was wearing stars and moons earrings. Christy wasn't sure whether to believe him, but decided his story was too crazy not to be true. Todd brought more than orange juice back to the party, and the rest is Psychic Friends history.
And let's face it, girls, if you were in a supermarket and some dweeb in a polyester polo shirt came up and said he had to meet you because a psychic had told him about your earrings, wouldn't you immediately realize that he was the love of your life? To prove it, Dion brings on the real Todd and Christy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Todd and Christy. Yeah. Hello. How are you? That was really hot. I love the little tape. Why don't you elaborate?
Okay. I've been seeing Linda for about 3 years now and getting readings from her. And most of the time, she's extremely accurate. But this time in particular, she was right on the money.
Yeah?
She had the time, the place, the day, the person, and probably even more coincidentally was that she said, I see stars and moons. So here I am in the produce section of a supermarket, and she said produce, in the orange juice section, picking out orange juice, and Christy comes along, I see this vision of beauty, and I happen to notice the stars and moon in the earrings.
Are you kidding? Oh, let's see them. Look at that. Stars and moons. And, all right.
And that's how he approached me. He said, you're not going to believe this, but my psychic had said I'm going to meet someone in the produce department, and she saw stars and moons, so I can only assume it's your earrings. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the best line I've heard so far. I mean, that's as original as I've heard. So I went ahead and I went to the party he invited me to because he was so original. And here we are.
All right. And how are things going?
Quite well. It's been about 8 months now. And, well, I don't see wedding plans yet, but if it is, we'll try the pizza section.
So, Todd isn't on his Todd anymore. Why don't you call the Psychic Friends Network? They'll be expecting your call. If they're not, ask them why not. And now, among the multicolored bloops and bleeps and audio howl-round wow of our state-of-the-art information highway techno-structure, it is sometimes hard to remember that television really depends on someone looking you in the eye and saying something you can understand. A lot of what we value in television was created by a man who can walk towards you calmly talking sense, even when he is being closely pursued by gorillas, killer whales, and the dreaded man-eating dung beetle of Borneo. It is a gift that has made him the most influential television star on Earth. So it is with suitable awe that I welcome David Attenborough. David, we've just been watching a reenactment on Psychic Friends Network, and they're very useful, aren't they, reenactments? Have you ever thought you could use one in one of your programs?
Oh, yes. You often wish that you could tell the animals to do it again, but they never do. The trouble is, you do the research, and you think you know exactly what's going to happen, and you set up the cameras, and the animal comes in, and you expect it to do something, it doesn't do the same thing at all. And you think, hasn't this damn thing read the book? You know, I mean, doesn't it know what it should be doing? Temptation is to try and make it do what it should do, and that's very unfortunate.
But if your animals don't always do what they should, they're usually well behaved. I've never seen many of your animals in your shows actually, how shall I put it, relieving themselves.
Well, as a matter of fact, you're in for a treat, because only last week we got some film from Australia. And as you will know, there are lots of mistletoes in Australia, aren't there?
Yeah, they must be.
Dozens of different species. And there's a thing called a mistletoe bird, right? And the mistletoe bird is very interesting. It eats a lot of mistletoe berries, which are very, very sticky. And they go in one end, and they come out the other end very fast. Now, this mistletoe bird, this is true. This mistletoe bird, unlike most birds, if you're a bird on a branch, you know, and you're going to go, well, you naturally sit across the branch, don't you? Don't you?
Yes.
And you go, and away it goes. But the mistletoe bird actually stands along the branch, so that when it goes, you see, it hits the branch. And the berry is so sticky, it sticks to the branch, but it also sticks to the bird. And the bird then has to make 3 hops, hop, 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 and before it actually breaks. Now this intimate detail of the mistletoe bird's behaviour won't be visible on British screens until next January. But then, wait for it.
Sure you aren't having me on,
No,
David?
no, I'm sorry, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
David, you've been to so many exotic spots and you've always complied with the local ceremonies and eaten what you were offered and so on. Was there ever anything you really had trouble facing?
I do remember I was living in a village, an Indian village up in the forests, the Amazonian forests, and we'd been there for some weeks, and they were very nice people, they're very hospitable people, and we got to know them quite well. And one day I got up out of a hammock and was walking around, and I saw 2 of the old ladies of the village who I knew sitting in a corner around a canoe, a broken old canoe. I couldn't see what they were doing, and I went, and they were actually chewing things and spitting them into the canoe. And I looked closer, and they were chewing this cassava bread, you know, which is made from this horrible manioc root. And you see, and so I said to our Indian friend, what are they doing? They said they're preparing for the feast. And I said, which feast? And they said, well, you're going to leave in a couple of days' time, you said, and we'll give you a party. So I said, well, what has spitting in the canoe got to do with it? And they said, oh, well, it's the drink. You see, to make good cassava drink, you have to put a bit of spittle in it to make it ferment. So over the next 2-3 days, more and more old ladies got into this and were spitting it. And I went over, and it was all bubbling, you know. And there was this terrible smell. Well, I'm sorry to say, I mean, it smelled like vomit. It really did smell like vomit. And I thought, this is awful. I mean, what are we going to do? And the night came for the party, and we all sat round the circle, and the head man of the village had this big calabash full of this horrible, porridgey, fermenting glue. And he took a coconut shell cup, and he gave it to this young girl, and he said, take it. And the girl took it, and she handed it to me. And I got it that far, you know, and you could smell this, and you got the feeling here, you know, you thought, I'm not going to make this twice. I can only take the taste once. So I took it up and I actually sort of emptied it all the way so that I didn't have to do it twice. And I put it down and I forced a smile on my face and went like that. And the chief said, "He likes it, give him another."
Yeah, you've done so many nature programs, you've educated a generation. Are most people better educated in that area now?
Well, actually, it's true they are, as a matter of fact. I mean, only a couple of days ago, I got into a taxi, and the taxi driver started asking me questions about natural history, which you would normally expect, well, when I was a student, or you'd have thought were actually final year or doctoral dissertation questions. I mean, he'd gotten a lot of it from television. But sometimes you can overestimate that. I mean, so some time back, we decided to make a program about pterodactyls, you know, because we thought enough attention had been paid to the dinosaurs flopping around the land. Why didn't these wonderful reptiles that flew? So, using the fossil bones, all the measurements were there. We reconstructed a pterodactyl, and we made it into the form of a radio-controlled glider. And we took it down to the cliffs of southern England, and when the wind comes into the cliffs, you see, if you can keep the thing radio-controlled so it's facing into the wind, you can get it to fly. And it had the proper head and the beak and so on, and it looked fabulous, and we filmed it, and I was delighted. And having done it, I had to get on the train, come up to London to a charity do of one sort or another, and I had to put on a dinner jacket. I changed on the train, and I went into this party, and it was very swanky. And there was a lady who I can only think was a duchess. She had sort of a choker of pearls or one thing or another. And as I went in, she said, "Oh, hello." She said, "Wonderful to see you. What wonderful animals have you been filming for us now?" You see, and I thought, boy, am I going to make an impression. And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact," I said, "I've been filming a pterodactyl gliding over the cliffs of southern England." And she said, "Oh, they are so lovely, aren't they?" And walked away. So maybe we aren't succeeding all that much.
You forgive me for saying that there's a lot of copulation in your programs, and of course the mind turns instantly to elephants.
I'm not. What do you mean?
First of all, how do you get close when they're doing? I mean, it's like two houses colliding. How do you?
Well, you don't want to get that close. Well, the female elephant only becomes sexually receptive once every 4 years. 4 years, for only 5 to 6 days.
Reminds me of a girl I used to know, actually.
Yeah. and because of that, she really wants to make sure that no chap around sort of, forgets that this is the case. So she produces a sound which is an infrasound. I mean, it's a very, very, very low rumble.
Can you do it for us?
No, I wish I could, but I mean, quite honestly, the studio would not be safe if it could.
Yeah,
but they used to hear the sound in zoos, and they used to think, poor old girl, she'd got indigestion. See? But it was not. It was a mating call, this very, very low sound. And this recent research had revealed this, and we got a huge loudspeaker, which is what you needed in order to make this kind of noise. It's more a breeze, really, than the sound. And we put this on the front of the Land Rover, and we went out. Yes.
I see the fatal flaw already.
You're right. I should have thought of that, And we put it on the front of the Land Rover, and we were waiting for till we found one of the elephants who also have a particular time when they are more interested than less. And we turned on this noise, and he was about 2 or 3 miles away. I mean, he really was. And we went, whoo, and I was watching him through binoculars. He thought, crikey, my birthday. And he came over at the trot. And it was at that point that I suddenly realized, that maybe I've made a mistake on all this. And he came over very fast, and he was clearly, as you might say, excited. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Catch my drift. And I really thought we were going to be into trouble. But in fact, what happened was that he looked at the car and he thought, the Land Rover, thought, rubbish, you see. And he assumed that the female was behind. And he rushed past us and looked at a baobab tree with some disappointment, I can say, on his trunk.
Let's get to that. Let's get to that question of him being clearly excited. A male elephant's
The word Billy would use, I believe, is willy.
Willy, right? A male elephant's willy.
Yes.
What are we talking about here?
I'm not talking about it. You're talking about it.
A lot of people don't know. I don't know. How long? We got a wide shot of that. Do that again. How much of the 5 feet?
They are very. Yes, I would think something of that order. The frightening thing about them is that they are very mobile. I mean, they have a life of their own. They move about.
So like Hoover.
Not a Hoover. No, not a Hoover.
Oh, the other thing. Where is it? But it's inside. Where does it go when it's not?
Don't you know? Didn't Mummy tell you?
I think one of your programs did, but I wasn't watching at the time. I have my hands over my eyes like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it does.
It's
yes.
all there, but it.
But it has to find its way. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have to stop there. There are 1,000 more questions I'd like to ask, but for taking us on that journey into the universe of possibilities, thank you very much, David Attenborough. We had to stop there because we've got a satellite interface coming in from the eastern United States. John Major has been searching this week for his American ancestors, but we've discovered he was looking in the wrong place. The Majors aren't in Pittsburgh, they're in Kentucky. Norma's family is there too. They've been intermarrying for years, and among the results is a striking capacity for making moonshine whiskey and music. So as Normaline Major joins John Boy Major and his brothers Caleb, Dwayne and Elvis Major out on the front porch of number 10 Major's Mountain, Zombie County, Kentucky, we say good night from London and take it away, Normaline Major and the Back to Basics Breakdown Boys.
I'll always love you and make you happy. If you'll only say the same. But if you leave me for another, you'll regret it all someday. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You told me once, dear, you'd always love me, that nothing else could come between. But now you left me for another, and you shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.